everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Grassroots Racer. This week, I'm very excited to speak with someone who looks at motorsport from the other side of the fence, or you could say from his lens. I started seeing him around the kart track when I was just, starting back in 2016 in my first full year. He's been around cars and motorsports though for a bit longer than that. So let's find out a bit more about his motorsport journey. With that, I present Silver Level Motorsport Australia and Karting Australia accredited photographer Ben Rowland.
Roland, yep.
How are you, Ben?
How are you, Aiden? Yeah, good, thanks, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing really well, Ben. So how have you been lately?
Yeah, look, can't complain. Obviously, like everyone in Victoria and even around Australia, it's just missing the motorsport quite a lot. But it's a bit out of our hands, so just sitting and waiting for everything to go back to normal, which hopefully won't be too far away. But yeah, otherwise good.
Yeah, it's been a bit, how you going with all this COVID-19 stuff around. So we wish the best for everyone, and hopefully we can get out of lockdown soon. Have you been doing much motorsports events, going out and taking photos lately?
Yeah, whenever I can, basically. I started off this year and started off last year with a plan, like a well-set calendar. But then once lockdowns happened, that just went out the window. So basically, whenever events pop up, I get to them if I can around work. But yeah, it's hard to plan the year out when who knows what's going to happen next month or next week.
As you'll see here, there'll be some photos on the screen of Ben's work, and he's very good, Ben. So like I said, he's been doing it for a lot of years. And, you started off in doing Karting Australia stuff, like grassroots level, and now you're taking photos for the V8 supercars. So tell me why motorsport, like how you got into motorsport and why you got into it.
So motorsport, just purely because it's a passion. As far as I can remember from when I was a kid, was always into motorsport. I think my earliest memories were watching Craig Lowndes in the Green-Eyed Monster on TV. So, yeah, motorsport's always been something I wanted to do as a career. And in high school, it was all about wanting to be a pit mechanic, getting to the supercars into pit lane. So the later years of high school, I did some work experience with teams and was very fortunate with that. Left school, became an apprentice mechanic at a Ford dealership and kept going with the work experience with teams. And I sort of grew away from the mechanical side of things for various reasons. And one day I picked up a camera and decided I may as well combine that with my motorsport passion, and it really just took off from there. Yeah,
just quickly, you said you were a mechanic. Did you do any V8 supercar rounds as a mechanic, or was it?
Yeah. So I was really fortunate to, I just pestered teams by email, by phone calls until one of them gave me a chance, and I did a couple of rounds here and there with various teams. Probably the best year I had was with Paul Cruikshank Racing in 2009, it would have been, when he ran Fabian Coulthard and Michael Patrizzi. I think I did about 7 or 8 rounds with him that year, so that was really, really awesome. Once I left high school and started my apprenticeship, unfortunately PCR folded, so I ended up with Dick Johnson Racing for 2 rounds, which was really lucky at Bathurst, and then the Sandown Sprint round, which that was the year that Courtney won the championship, and we won a round at Sandown, which was really cool.
So did you have a certain role that you were hired for? Like when you went into a team, was there a certain role that you played in most of them? Just odd jobs, emptying bins and cleaning the car, pushing tyres around, mainly cleaning. It was just all the odd jobs that you'd trust a school kid with, really. I think probably the most technical thing I did was change a wing mirror on a car, but which is understandable. But it was just that being on that side of the fence was cool. It would have been cool, being in the garage and getting involved. Like you said, you won a race when Courtney won the championship, so that would have been really emotional for the whole team who had been there the whole year. I'm getting a bit off track, so let's go back to your motorsport photography. How'd you come up with the name Pace Images, and has it gone from being like a hobby to now a profession?
Yeah, so with the name, at the start, I sort of thought about using my surname, but with the spelling of it, it's a bit difficult. And I just I listed down different words that are used in motorsport, and one of the things that everyone's looking for is pace. Everyone's hunting for pace, or they've got pace, they haven't got pace. So I just use that word and chucked images at the end of it, and it seemed to work at the time, and I still like it. It works for me. So in terms of making it a profession, it was something I was working towards doing, but it's hard to, with all the COVID stuff that's happened now, it's very hard to give up a stable job where you've got solid income coming in to risk it all to become a professional photographer and then go into lockdown for 6 months again and not have any work. So it's something that still I'm looking at, but I think I'll probably still stick to having a full-time job and doing this on the side.
I know you take some awesome photos, and I've been lucky enough, you have taken photos of me and you sent them to my mom, and she really enjoys them because they're really important to my mum, because she cherishes the photos that she has with me. Have you got any special equipment that you use to capture the image or make them faster, and how many frames per second?
Yeah, so I started off with just an entry-level camera I bought from Costco, but as you progress and as you're trying to improve your skills, you definitely do need to upgrade your equipment. That said, though, it's not all about the equipment. A lot of good photographers can take good photos on old gear, so it's not the be-all and end-all. I've always just gone and bought second-hand equipment because I can't justify the cost of a brand new camera body. So you do need probably about 2 or 3 good lenses, at least one good camera body, and there's all the bits and pieces, laptops and chargers and flashes, and the list is endless. If you bought everything you needed, you'd be spending a lot of money, that's for sure.
I guess everything, it can end up costing money, but now that I know you use secondhand stuff, I'm really impressed with your photos. How many do you think you take over a weekend? Because we end up seeing a couple on your social medias, but how many does it take to just narrow down to the best ones?
Yeah, so look, it's embarrassing to say how many you take, but you do end up over a course of an Australian Kart Championship weekend. It'd be anywhere from 15 to 17,000 photos, which is a lot when you look at it, but when you take into account that I'm covering all 300 karts, they're all on track, I think about 10 times a weekend, but however many laps, you're getting a photo of each kart every lap, it all adds up. And I want to make sure they get enough angles of every kart. So yeah, you do take a lot of photos, but you need to, I think, just to make sure you cover every angle and cover all the action.
As you mentioned just then, you've taken over tens of thousands of photos a weekend. But do you have any, that you've collected over the years that are real standout moments that you really love and you were so glad you took a photo of?
Yeah, it is hard to narrow down favourite photos. I've found more and more in the last year or two that the photos that mean more to me and seem to mean more to the clients is the off-track photos. So maybe it's a moment with mum and dad off track, or as a driver comes in after a win, or even just a third or a fourth, capturing that moment as they greet their family and they celebrate with their family or their team. They're the ones that I seem to get more feedback from, and I value more. The on-track ones, like the one behind me, they're cool captures, and it's a lot of luck involved to get them. And I love those shots as well, but they're very few and far between. You've got to be in the right place at the right time. So, I guess it's just a matter of trying to be there for every moment, which is difficult. But yeah.
Yeah, like you said, it's just about being in the right position at the right time. And with the photo behind you, you might not remember, because I think that was a couple years back, because I remember seeing that at the awards nights. Do you remember how many photos you had to delete, because your camera takes multiple at once? Do you remember how many photos you had to delete to get that one?
So I don't really delete any photos. So the cameras can hold, I think I can probably take 30,000 in a weekend if I needed to, which I've never had to. So for that frame, as I saw it happening, I probably took about 15 photos, I think. Once you hold down the shutter button, it just rapid fires. So because of the blur in it, there's quite a few frames that were no good, but that one seemed to be the most dramatic, so that's the one I've run.
Is there any like special events that you've been excited to take part in, or you have taken part in as a photographer?
Yeah, so look, I'm very lucky to be the Australian Kart Championship photographer. So all of those events are a lot of fun to shoot. This year I've been very, very fortunate to be working with Brad Jones Racing in the Supercar Championship. So every one of those rounds is special for me. That's been the ultimate goal for a while. So to achieve that's been awesome. The one that I really missed last year was I was very fortunate to get accreditation for the Australian Grand Prix. And obviously on the Friday morning that got cancelled. So managed to shoot one day of it, but yeah, that was a bit of a missed opportunity, unfortunately. But yeah, look, I love any big event really. Just the atmosphere that gets built up and the racing that you see and the battles on track are awesome.
Have there been any like scary moments where you've been too close to the action? Like I remember I was in a pile-up at Parker and Cadet 12, and you were at turn 1, and you were there straight out helping the other karters to, who hurt themselves. Like, do you remember Caleb Spencer? I think he hurt his arm, and you were there straight away helping him.
Yeah, quite often I'm the first one there, just purely because I'm on track. And unfortunately, the crashes seem to happen near me quite a bit, which is good for photos, but obviously not good for the people involved. Yeah, look, I've had a few close calls, unfortunately, with at the Victorian Country Series in Horsham. I had a kart go through a tyre barrier and knock me over, but that was a bit of my own fault for standing in a bit of a silly spot. Sandown last year had a car, a Formula V actually, come off and hit the guardrail right where I was standing, which the guardrail didn't budge, it did its job, but just that impact and happening so fast just gave me a bit of a shock. But it's just got to keep in your mind that it is a dangerous spot to be. So got to have your eyes open all the time and make sure you're ready to move if you need to.
Yeah, and it would be very scary because a racer like me, you're always focused on the race, and I'd feel really bad if I hurt one of the spectators or the photographers or officials by accident. It would be a really bad thing to happen. So
absolutely. I mean, there's definitely rules about where we're allowed to stand, and it's all about our safety. So, but with that in mind, it's also up to us to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in bad situations. So, even if it says we're allowed to stand there, if it's wet, you might not, just because it's as you know, being involved in motorsport, things go wrong pretty quick, and cars can end up anywhere. So, you've always got to have an escape plan and make sure that you're not putting yourself at a risk that's not necessary for a photo.
You say you often sacrifice your weekends to go travel long distances, and you sometimes even have to fly interstate. So what's the motivation that keeps you coming back to the track, especially like we were just talking about the risks that are involved?
I just love it. It's just the passion for motorsport, really. Like, even if I wasn't taking photos, I'd love just to be at the track. I think there's a bit of fear of missing something. I'd hate to not go to an event and then find out I missed someone's first win or something like that. Like, I'd just do it for the love, really. Otherwise, it would be pretty hard dragging yourself out of bed at 5 a.m. to drive to Horsham or drive to Adelaide or, I just do it for the passion. Love it.
Been quite a few go-karters that have you've photographed through time and now progressed from karts to competing like Hyundai XL, Super 2, TCR, Formula V and Formula Ford. So has it been exciting to see little kids turning to grown adults driving really fast cars now? Yeah, it's amazing. Like, I've only been doing this for 5 years now. And to see the progress of a lot of the guys like Brock Beanie and Jay Hansen and there's endless names you could pull out. To see how far they've progressed in such a short time is pretty cool. And I've always said that I'd love to fast forward 10 years from now and see who is where and who's made it to F1 or supercars or wherever. It's going to be pretty cool to see. And hopefully have some pretty cool photos of them for the archives. I just missed the boat with Oscar Piastri, I think. I probably shot one event that he came back and did at the City of Melbourne titles.
So I haven't really got many photos of him, but yeah, pretty keen to see who ends up where in the next few years, that's for sure.
Yeah, like I remember, I would say I first met you at Todd Road in 2016, I reckon. Maybe that year. And it's just been awesome seeing you. Like, I guess we've both progressed in a way. Now I'm out of karting and you've found yourself at V8 supercar events, and it's really cool to see that you've progressed as well as, like we say, many karters that you could go on naming forever. But last, I know your social medias. Do you want to tell everyone that's viewing where they can find your amazing work? Because, you know, they might not see you after this, so where can they find you?
So I'm on Facebook as Pace Images, and also on Instagram as Pace_Images. And yeah, for the Australian Kart Championship, you can see all my photos on the Australian Kart Championship Facebook page. And most of my supercar stuff is on the Brad Jones Racing Facebook and Instagram.
Thanks for speaking to me today, Ben. It has been a pleasure. I think
thanks, Ed.
The sport and karting community have been so lucky to have you be a part of it. Like, photos are like memories, you know, like when I started karting, you probably took photos, and where I am now, you probably will take photos in the future when I'm in karting.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're super special to people like my mum and dad who go there and they can look back at those moments and remember forever. And hopefully I can see you at tracks like Phillip Island and Sandown in the future when I'm racing in Formula V or Formula Ford, something down the track.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Like, it's it's awesome to be given that privilege of being able to provide people with those memories. So, I'll look forward to seeing you at Island Magic or whatever the meet might be.
Yeah, hopefully I can get in the race car by the end of the year. But thanks to everyone. I appreciate the continued support. And for anyone who missed any old Grassroots episodes, you can catch up on Flipman Motorsports Facebook, Instagram, IGTV, and our YouTube channel, which you might not know of, but we have a YouTube channel. Thanks again, Ben. It's been great catching up, and remember some of the times that we had. And lastly, everyone, drive fast and take chances.
Thanks, Anton.
Thanks, Ben.